You've done the William Ing 5 cuts and found out your crosscut sled is not so perfect. How can you use some painter's tape for a temporary fix? Hola woodworkers, Paul Carlson here, small workshop guy. I had made this Stumpy Nubs crosscut sled, and it's called a mega crosscut sled because it has a lot of jigs that you can put on it for different things. I had made it for a contractor saw that I had earlier, but I got rid of. Well, of course, when I got the saw stop, the miters was not the same spacing, so I had to fool around with the sled or moving the sliders underneath. Well, as a result, or maybe when I originally built it, maybe I didn't have it very accurate. So I did the 5-cut method and found out that I was off more than I wanted to be. But I don't want to stop right now and build a new sled, which I am going to do because I've got some design ideas that I want to implement. So I want to use this on a project and I need it right away, and so I need to get a quick fix. Well, turns out that I have pinned this down and glued it down, and I'm not going to be able to take things out and do an adjustment back and forth with my back fence here. So I have a solution I'd like to demonstrate, and that is to use some blue tape. I'm going to make this board exactly the same size of another board. I'm going to do one with the 5-cut method, see how I'm off, make an adjustment with some painter's tape, and then do another cut and see how that comes out. Okay, to do this, I've got 2 boards that are very close. Scared me there for a minute. That are very close in size. And so I'm going to use those for my test. I'm going to mark them both with, on the sides here, I'm going to mark this side 1, and then I'm going to rotate it clockwise. So this will be side 2, this will be side 3, this will be side 4, and then I'm going to come back here and this will be side 5. So I'm going to do the same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's do the first one with the normal 5-cut method and see how far off the sled is as it's currently set up. So that's the 5 cuts. What you want to make sure you do now is keep the last piece, which is hopefully about an inch or so, where you know what the top was and what the bottom was. So I haven't moved this piece yet. So I'm going to mark this as A, and this down here as B for bottom. So A, the top part, is 0.985. So now let's measure B. I've got 0.9355. So B is narrow versus A. I'm not going to do the William Ing mathematics here, but knowing that B is more narrow than A, that means I have to move. The way you would normally do this is you would move this edge of the table back toward you. If it was a negative number, meaning A was smaller than B, then you'd put your table forward over here. Well, the math is not that difficult really. William Ing would take my difference here, he would divide it by 4, he would divide it by the length of this cut, and that would give me the error per inch. And then if he was going to adjust the fence, he would multiply that times the distance between his pivot point and where he's going to do the adjustment. Well, I can't adjust my fence, so I'm not going to do that. So I want to have this be the same result as if I had moved the fence back. Well, to move the fence back, something that I can do is put a piece of painter's tape right here, and that essentially has moved my fence, if you will. Painter's tape, if you want to take your painter's tape and measure it, just measure some sort of a board for thickness, then cut off 10 pieces of tape, put it on top of that board, and then see what the difference is between your earlier measurement, and then that would be the width of those 10 pieces. Divide that by 10, and that's the width of each piece. I find that each piece of my painter's tape is about 0.004, meaning 4/1000ths of an inch. So, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to do a little trial and error. All right, so I'm going to take 2 pieces of tape. I'm going to put them just left of where curve is. And so there's one piece, and I'm going to do a second piece, which instead of moving this back, I'm moving the center here forward. And I didn't do any mathematics, I'm just doing trial and error. So now we're going to do the 5-cut method with that tape on there, and let's see what we get. So here's the other board. The only thing that's going to happen here is each time I put it up against this fence, it's going to be pushed out just ever so slightly. So when I'm all done, A would be narrower in comparison to B than it was before. And that's what we want, because it was too wide. Now, if your fence was off and you were going to go the other way, then you'd put some tape over here. That would be the same as pushing it out there. The only problem with that one is then if your workpiece doesn't go all the way over there to utilize that, then you're going to have your original measurements. Again, make sure I don't move my piece before I get labeled. So here's the top, A. Here's the bottom, B. Let's take our calipers and see how adding, in this case, 2 pieces of tape, which should be about 0.008 at that position. And so for A, I get 0.9515, and for B, 0.9345. Now I'm getting a difference still, 0.0170 versus 0.0495. So I got closer. In fact, I'll have to decide if that's close enough for me. But the point is, if you want to keep trial and error, put on a piece of tape, put on 2 more, take one off, play with it right here. It's a lot simpler than unscrewing. Now, again, I'm going to recommend that you build a new sled and do it in a way that you can adjust the fence according to the William Ing method. That's what I'm going to do. But like I said, I just want to fix this one temporarily to be a little bit more accurate.